business news from the Capital Region. This is Washington Business Report with ABC7 national correspondent Rebecca Cooper.
Welcome to our fresh look at business and finance in the Washington region. This week, heads of state are regulars at his restaurants. How does he manage to keep them coming back? Our one-on-one interview with Ashok Bajaj. Also, key rules of the road for small business owners in this economy from a leading investment advisor, some of which just might surprise you. And Hollywood's in town for the White House Correspondents' Dinner, plus the dozens of parties that now surround it. But is this really the best way to brand some big names in business? We'll have party talk coming up. But first, he was born in India and came to Washington 25 years ago with a vision to offer restaurant goers here some new foods to savor just steps from the White House. Many thought he was crazy. Others just flat out said no. But now Ashok Bajaj has 8 of the top restaurants in this region and has won major national food awards as well. I sat down with him one-on-one at his restaurant Bombay Club to learn the secrets to his success. Ashok Bajaj, welcome to Washington Business Report. You've been dubbed Restaurateur of the Year in Washington. You've been nominated many times for that award. The New York Times has called you the most successful restaurateur in Washington. And congratulations, the James Beard Foundation nominating you for Restaurateur of the Year for the country. What do those kinds of attributes mean?
Well, they all feel good, you know. They all feel good when you're working hard, and it's good morale for the staff as well that they're working in a reputable company which is recognized by my peers and New York Times and James Beard Award, and it feels good.
Let's start with here at the Bombay Club. Now it's considered a must-stop for power leaders throughout Washington. I've dined here with President Bush's chief of staff and others. This is the place to go. But when you first had this idea in the first Bush administration, it took a lot of time and perseverance on your part to even convince a landlord to let you move in, and yet here you are 1 block away from the White House. Tell us about the journey from the concept to actually coming to fruition.
Right, so when I moved here 25 years ago, everyone wanted me to be on the K Street. This small block of Connecticut Avenue was dead. But I wanted to be close to the White House, old executive building, World Bank, IMF, because I wanted to draw international clientele. I wanted people who have traveled. So this was an ideal location, along with, I love the space. It reminded me of the clubs in India that I could create here.
And so getting back to even trying to convince landlords, some of them said, we don't want an Indian restaurant. Indian food smells. People look down upon the whole concept of an Indian restaurant as high art. And yet you convinced them. How?
Well, it needed to be educated. Okay, there was, let alone Indian restaurant, there were not many great restaurants. Now, city have changed, obviously, since then. Okay, there were good restaurants then, but handful of them, but they were not good, reputable, high-end Indian restaurants. So yeah, it took me a little bit of convincing to do that, but now they want me in their building all over the city. So times have changed a little bit.
What kind of standards did you set early on that you've held to that you think established you as one of the best?
So Irfan, whom you just met, he's been with me 24 years. My kitchen staff, I always wanted to do a very high-end food. I didn't stray from there. My focus was doing the best regional food I possibly can do in America. And I stayed on the same path. Service-wise, I wanted to have a white glove service, which we have focused on that for 25 years. And, lucky enough to have the presidents, the head of states, late Nelson Mandela, a lot of Hollywood celebrity comes here, and it's become truly one of the power spots in this city.
So you've also been known as someone who puts a premium not just on the food, the high standards, but customer service. You're seen as someone who likes to constantly greet all of your customers. How did you learn that trait, and what would you say the importance of it is in terms of the pecking order for your success?
Well, food is very important. Okay, and in Washington or anywhere, services goes hand in hand. Okay, you can't have one or the other, so you need both. For me, because I have such a loyal following in my group, okay, and I've seen them over 25 years. A lot of them join as special assistant to the White House, and they become secretaries, and they like I've grown, they grow in their jobs. So they more or less become a part of the family, and
So good lesson, though. Don't just focus on the heads of state and the secretaries of state. Start with the deputy assistant secretary, or even the assistant to the deputy assistant secretary.
See, now, Mrs. Clinton used to come as a first lady, then she became a secretary of state, and now hopefully, she's going to run for president, right?
Obviously, you have very clear visions about what you want, so it would be hard, I would think, to not be a micromanager. Are you a micromanager?
No, I'm not a micromanager. I try to hire the best people I possibly can, then give them the freedom to create or manage the restaurant. Do I give them direction? Absolutely. Okay, we have to be in the same path. So what I want out of the food, what I want out of the service, how my restaurant have to be represented, those directions I always give. But no, I don't micromanage.
Is there an example of a time when you gave someone free rein and then thought, ooh, maybe I need to step in and manage more closely, or did you always think that goes with the territory?
Chefs are creative people, okay? And there are times it happens, they push the boundary. I let them push it, okay? Because they are the one who are the soul of the restaurant. And that's why when I look for the staff who will come and work for me, I look for very good people who understand what the guest wants. And let them push the boundary. Sometimes we succeed, other times we don't. So when we don't succeed, we say, listen, pull back a little bit.
How do you find the best employees, especially you talk about chefs? Chefs are known for being creative, sometimes temperamental. Are you willing to put up with maybe difficult personalities in exchange for great artistry, or what's the balance?
Very good question. I had my, share of people who are temperamental. I really don't like temperamental chefs, but I'm fortunate to have a group of chefs who's worked with me for the last 8, 10, 12 years now, longevity chefs who are willing to teach the staff. And when you're teaching the staff, you tend to make a better team. So I have a wonderful group of chefs right now.
So for a kid growing up in India, working in hotels and restaurants, you're now known by presidents, known by senators, known by celebrities. Share with our audience some of the people who have dined in your restaurants that you look back and think, wow, that was pretty cool.
Well, my first visit when President Clinton came in '93, I was so nervous. I didn't know how to receive him. And in your late 20s, and say, God, the president is coming to your restaurant. I ended up calling a friend of mine at Washington Post, Ken Ringel, who used to write for Style section. I said, Ken, could you coach me? Can you give me the right protocol, what to do? Shall I bring a red carpet? Do I have flowers in the room? How shall I treat the president? And he says, just be yourself. And I said, just be myself. How can you be yourself? And then after that, I visit from President Bush, then Nelson Mandela, a lot of Hollywood celebrity, head of states. So it's always fun. President Obama came to Rasika West End. When First Lady was there, she said, I'm going to bring the president here for dinner. And I said, well, thank you, madam. And then she's been to my other restaurant. No, it's always fun. It's always great honor. And you look back and say, okay, I've done well in my restaurant business. Restaurants are worthy of head of states to come and visit me.
I always like to ask successful entrepreneurs about lessons learned through mistakes made. And sometimes you can make a mistake and later think, you know what, that was a big mistake, but I'm glad it happened. And then other times you can look back and think, that was a big mistake, and if I knew then what I know now, I would never let it happen. So teach us from both ends of that. Let's start with a big mistake that now you wish you had known better. Any come to mind?
I don't know I made any blunder like this. I made some mistakes in hiring during my 25 years of career, but I've corrected them quickly. Okay.
And what did you learn from that? How can you improve the next time around?
You can't improve on the hiring. When you're hiring people, you go with your gut feeling, you look at the talent, they're qualified, you check their references, you do everything you possibly can, and then bring them aboard, okay, and give them the free way to do things.
And when it doesn't work, do you try and give them warnings and guidance, or do you say, cut the cord and move on?
Both.
Both. Ashok Bajaj, thanks for joining us on Washington Business Report.
Thank you.
And when we come back, smart financial advice in our Small Business Spotlight.